Have you ever scrolled through social media and seen someone you kind of envy, maybe a celebrity or an influencer, make a huge, embarrassing mistake? And for a split second, you felt a little bit of pleasure? Don't worry, you're not a bad person. You just experienced a very human emotion called Schadenfreude. It's that secret delight we sometimes feel when we see others, especially those we perceive as being higher status, fail. But have you ever wondered what's actually happening inside your brain during that moment? What if I told you that researchers scanned people's brains while they watched others fail, and what they found was kind of disturbing? The same reward centers that activate when you eat your favorite food or win a prize lit up like a Christmas tree. Your brain literally treats someone else's misfortune as a reward. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating and slightly uncomfortable science of Schadenfreude. We'll look at the actual brain scans and figure out why our brains are wired this way. So let's get into the nitty-gritty. Neuroscientists have used functional magnetic resonance imaging, or fMRI, to peek inside our heads and see what's going on. In these studies, they'd have participants lie inside an fMRI machine and show them different scenarios. For example, they might show them a video of a student who is super arrogant and always bragging about their grades, and then show that same student failing an important exam. Or a flashy sports car driver getting a ticket. As the participants watched these moments of failure, the scientists watched their brains, and what they saw was remarkable. A specific area of the brain, called the ventral striatum, became highly active. Now, the ventral striatum is a key player in our brain's reward system. It's the same region that lights up when we experience pleasure from things like food, money, and even social validation. So, when you see someone you envy stumble, your brain's reward circuit fires up, releasing a little hit of dopamine, the feel-good neurotransmitter. It's essentially telling you, hey, this is good, this is a reward. It's a primitive, almost instinctual reaction. The brain is processing the other person's downfall as a positive event for you. It's not about consciously wishing them harm. It's a subconscious neurological response. It's like your brain is keeping a social scoreboard, and when a competitor slips, you score a point. But it gets even more interesting when we compare Schadenfreude to its emotional opposite, empathy. Empathy is our ability to understand and share the feelings of another person. When we feel empathy for someone who is suffering, a different set of brain regions activates. These are the anterior cingulate cortex and the anterior insula parts of what's often called the empathy network. These areas are involved in processing pain, both our own and the pain we observe in others. So, when you see a friend trip and you rush to help them, feeling their embarrassment and pain, that's your empathy network at work. The fascinating part is that Schadenfreude and empathy seem to be in a constant tug-of-war inside our brains. Whether you feel pleasure or pain at someone else's misfortune depends heavily on your relationship with that person and the context. If it's someone you like and identify with, your empathy circuits are more likely to fire. You feel their pain. But if it's someone you envy, dislike, or see as a rival, your reward circuits are more likely to take over. Your brain essentially deactivates the empathy response and cranks up the pleasure response. It's like a switch flips, turning off the part of you that would normally feel bad and turning on the part that enjoys the moment. So why do some people seem to experience Schadenfreude more intensely than others? Researchers have found a strong link between Schadenfreude and self-esteem. People with lower self-esteem tend to feel it more often and more intensely. It makes sense, right? If you're feeling down about yourself, seeing someone who seems to have it all figured out suddenly fail can provide a temporary boost to your ego. It's a form of self-enhancement. Their failure can make your own situation feel a little bit better by comparison. It levels the playing field even if just for a moment. This isn't a conscious, malicious thought process. It's a deep-seated psychological mechanism. The brain is trying to protect your sense of self-worth. When we see a superior person brought down a peg, it can reduce the uncomfortable feeling of upward social comparison. Another key factor is envy. Envy is that painful feeling of wanting what someone else has. Studies have shown that the more you envy someone, the more pleasure you'll derive from their misfortune. When scientists induced feelings of envy in participants before showing them the failure videos, the Schadenfreude response in the brain was significantly stronger. The envy acts like fuel for the fire. It creates a sense of injustice in our minds, a feeling that this person doesn't deserve their success. So, when they fail, our brain interprets it as a restoration of cosmic balance. The world feels fair again, and that feeling is registered as a reward. There's also a group dynamic at play. Schadenfreude is often stronger when it's directed at an outgroup, someone from a rival team, a competing company, or a different political party. Think about watching a rival sports team lose a championship game. For fans of the opposing team, the collective joy is palpable. This is because our brains are wired to favor our in-group seeing. An out-group fail can strengthen our own group's identity and status. It reinforces the idea that we are better than them. This tribalistic instinct is a powerful driver of Schadenfreude, turning an individual's failure into a victory for our entire group. The brain's reward system doesn't just care about our personal standing. It cares about the standing of the groups we belong to. So, let's look at the brain scans themselves. When you see a graph of the fMRI data, you'll notice a sharp spike in the activity of the ventral striatum right at the moment the misfortune occurs. It's an immediate, powerful reaction. At the same time, you'll often see a dip in the activity of the anterior insula and the anterior cingulate cortex, the empathy regions. It's a clear neurological signature. The brain is actively suppressing empathy to make room for that rewarding feeling of pleasure. It's a fascinating look at the internal conflict between our more prosocial, empathetic selves and our more competitive, self-interested selves. It shows that these complex social emotions have very real, measurable biological underpinnings. Now, does all of this mean we're inherently mean-spirited? Not at all. Schadenfreude is a natural, albeit complex, part of the human emotional spectrum. Understanding the neuroscience behind it doesn't excuse cruelty, but it does help us understand why we feel the way we do. It's a reminder that our brains are ancient machines, wired for survival in a competitive social world. These reactions are often automatic and subconscious. The key is what we do with that feeling. We can choose to let it pass, or we can choose to act on it. Awareness is the first step. By recognizing that quick flash of pleasure for what it is, a primitive brain response, we can make a conscious choice to lean into our more empathetic side. Instead of letting that fleeting feeling of Schadenfreude define our reaction, we can choose to focus on compassion. We can remind ourselves that failure and struggle are universal human experiences. The person who failed, no matter how much we envied them, is still a person. By understanding the wiring in our own heads, we gain a little more control over our reactions. We can notice the Schadenfreude, acknowledge it as a weird brain quirk, and then consciously decide to be better. It's the difference between a knee-jerk reaction and a thoughtful response. So the next time you feel that little twinge of pleasure at someone else's blunder, don't beat yourself up. Just remember the complex dance happening inside your brain, the battle between your reward system and your empathy network. It's a fascinating insight into what makes us human in all our flawed, competitive, and ultimately compassionate glory. Thanks for watching and diving into the weird world of our brains with me. If you found this interesting, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the science of human behavior. See you in the next video.